is ever so short. You must, right now, straighten this out between yourself, the Creator, and my people. We are gathering our nations together. You must gather yours together to return back to the spiritual way of life, to return back as the Creator had intended, or this whole world will be destroyed. We are here today under our grandfather the Sun, who is our witness, that we have come here to deliver a message to all of you people, to all of our brothers and sisters, to tell you that there are many things that are happening in this world now, and that we who are close to the forces of nature, close to the land and the spirit, and close to the Creator, know how to interpret these things according to our prophecies. Our caravan, to begin with, began in August 21st, 1967, at the Tonawanda Seneca Indian Reservation near Batham, New York. We called an emergency council, an emergency convention. We sent notices to all of our brothers and sisters to come and meet with us because we saw a great problem facing our people. At that time, there was a bill which was introduced into Congress. It was known as the Indian Resources and Development Act of 1967. Many of our nations referred to this bill as the Termination Bill or the Omnibus Bill because it was so broad in its language. And had this bill passed, today there would not have been an Indian reservation in the United States. We would have lost all of the very little land which our people now still hold on to and still value so dearly. We Indian people believe that this earth is our mother, that without her help, all life would die. Everything comes from our mother, the earth. Many times our people have neglected to take care of our mother earth. Many times our other brothers and sisters from across the waters have not had that feeling from the soul and the heart and from the mind to the attachment of our mother, the earth. And there has been many things that have happened to this country. There has been vast areas of thousands and thousands of acres of topsoil that has been ruined because of ruthless mining and all these other things. Our mother, the earth, has suffered terribly. Mines have gone in and taken the minerals from her ground. The wealth of this resources have not been put to proper use. Today, my people, though few in number, representing less than 0.5% of the population of this land, are forced to live in poverty. Many of my people do not even enjoy 3 square meals. Many have no clothes. Many have no shoes. Many are hampered by other things that are respected by the economic world. But we still are rich, rich in spirit, rich in heart, rich with a feeling of closeness with the Creator. And according to our prophecies, one day we will stand again as a mighty nation. We are now gathering our people as it was planned in 1967. And this North American Indian Unit caravan has toured this nation and will have completed on September the 4th of this year at the Cottonwaga Mohawk Indian Reservation near Montreal, Quebec. We will have completed miles of travel. We have met with many nations and many people, and I must tell you people here, the community, that this is the first time that we have permitted a meeting with non-Indian people. We want you to know this. Time is short. We have to tell you these messages. We are involved, according to our prophecies, with the responsibility of gathering of our Indian nations to salvage something of this world which is about ready to be destroyed. We have to do this duty. This is our obligation. And our chiefs and leaders have told us that we would face many trials. We would face a lot of trouble and difficulties, hardship. And this has happened. They have told us that as we departed, we would see this country as it really is. We would see the people. We would recognize the truth. We would see the fulfillment of prophecies. We would go through high winds, floods, hailstorms, fires, and all these different forces of nature that are now being activated. Our prophecies say that one day a great white serpent would come upon the land. He would be choking the life's breath out of our people, the Ongwehue, or Ikwehewe, meaning the real people. When suddenly from the north the great red serpent would circle around him. The white serpent would be momentarily blinded, confused, bewildered, and he would release the Indian, who would fall to the ground almost as a helpless child. The Indian would then be too weak to crawl, too weak to stand, too weak to walk. It would be difficult for him to get his energy back. It is said that he would regain his strength, and slowly he would crawl south to the land of the hilly country. And after a while he would get his strength and begin to walk, and then he would move swiftly in the gathering of his nation. And in this hilly country, he would renew his strength. He would renew his instructions and his obligations that he had made to the Great Spirit at the time when this earth was first created. And that is the time when the Indian people would begin to rise. It is said that a young boy, a choice seer, would be born. And this young choice seer would be in his teens when the gathering of the nations take place. That this choice seer would have the power to guide, to speak, and to lead thousands and thousands of his people who would number as the blades of grass, according to our prophecy. We have been through most of this prophecy now. It is said that our people were not to involve themselves in the war that was to take place upon this land between the serpents. It is also said that a black serpent, dripping with salt water, would come from the south. He would be swimming very swiftly. He would be guided as though guided by a burning spear. And he would reach our eastern shore and stand there to get his breath. As he stands there, he notices that the red serpent reaches around the back of the white serpent and pulls from him a hair. And a great northern wind takes it south into the waiting arms, the waiting hand of the black serpent. The black serpent catches this hair, closes his hand, and after a while he opens it up. This hair turns into a woman, a white woman, who tells him things that he knows to be true, but he wants to hear them again. When she finishes, he takes her and gently, with great respect, places her on a great rock. And he becomes so infuriated at what he has heard that he makes a beeline for the north. and becomes involved in this fight between the red and the white serpent. Our messenger that told us this prophecy has also said that when he enters this battle, he will be battle-wise and swift, fast, hard to beat. That the battle between the serpents would become so violent that the mountains would split, the rivers would boil, and the fish would turn upon their bellies. There would be no leaves in the tree. Strange bugs and beetles and insects would begin to attack all human beings who are not protected. Even the snakes, the reptiles, and the animals would turn and attack. These will be guided by the forces of nature. It is said that only those who are strong and still follow the ancient instructions, the way of life, would be saved. It is also said that many of our own Indian people would die because they had neglected the sacred instructions. It is said that many nations would come to the south, to the hilly country, and gather with the gathering of our people. They would be received and protected after they have renewed their covenant with the Great Spirit. And it is said that we would hear for miles and miles the screaming and the crying of our people who are trying to make it back. Some of them will never make it. It'll be too late. And purification can only come about by wind, water, and fire. That is what is happening to this land. That is why we tell you there is not much time left. You must get your people together. You must believe this word, because all you have to do is look around and see what has happened. We are living in a dangerous time. If you continue to ignore all that the Great Spirit has given to our people for the benefit of every one of us, if you continue to ignore this, you will have to pay the supreme price. If you do not get back and consider the first people, my Indian people, you will have to pay this price. The Great Spirit has placed us here upon this land with very special instructions. He has told us that this Mother Earth was handed to us by himself for the protection and for the benefit of our future generations, of the ever-coming faces of our children's children who are not yet born. Today, most of this land has been taken away from us. Most of this land has been stolen from my people. Today we wander through the cities. We find hundreds and hundreds of our people, full-bloods, who have no nation to claim, who have no land to stand on, who have no religious way of life, because everything goes back to Mother Earth. This is wrong. This is one of the great crimes that has been perpetrated against my people. This has to be straightened out. Our people must have land, because the sacred land, sacred fires, sacred ceremonies all go together. Without one, the other cannot operate, cannot function. It is a sad day when we see our own native people, our native Indian people, hitchhiking on these highways, walking through these cities as vagrants in their own land. The Great Spirit gave this land to us. It belongs to us. And if it is not, if this mess is not straightened out soon, many lives will be lost by the forces of nature, because the Great Spirit will take this land back, purify it, to return it to our people. This is our prophecy. For 20 years, we have studied all the prophecies of our nation. We have listened to them, and basically they're all the same. To our Indian people, we do not involve ourselves in real estate or the selling of land because it's too sacred to us. Every part of this country is sacred to my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some fond memory or some sad experience of my tribe. And even the rocks, which seem to lie dumb as they swelter in the sunshine along the silent seashore, thrill with the memories of past events connected with the lives of my people. The very dust under your feet responds more lovingly to our footsteps than to yours, because it is the ashes of our ancestors, and our bare feet are ever conscious of the sympathetic touch, for the soil is rich with the life of our kindred. The noble braves, glad, happy-hearted maidens, and even the little children who rejoiced here for a brief season, and whose very names are long forgotten, still love this beautiful world that gave them being, and often return to visit, guide, and comfort us. Day and night cannot dwell together. The red man has ever fled the approach of the white man, as the changing mist on the mountainside flees before the blazing sun. However, today, we come here. We extend our hand of friendship and brotherhood to all people who are created by the same Creator. We ask that you open our hearts, that you open your hearts, that we put our minds together as one and try to straighten out these great wrongs which were and are still being perpetrated against my people. Many of our people have recently had some very strong visions, some visitations, some great messages, some dreams, which have told us that time is ever so short, that you must right now straighten this out between yourself, the Creator, and my people, or you will be lost. You must recognize what our people are doing. We are gathering our nations together. You must gather yours together to return back to the spiritual way of life, to return back as the Creator had intended, or this whole world will be destroyed. Only those that are strong, those that still follow the sacred ways, will be saved, as it happened in the other worlds before this. We have traveled this country and have seen many things that remind us of what took place in those other worlds. We have seen volcanic ash. We have seen volcanic stones. We have seen signs where the whole land was once covered with water. We have saw where the Ice Age hit, the continental divide. These are evidence of what we are talking about. We have recordings, rock carvings, that are spread out all over this land. And for 20 years, our people have been gathering the information on these. Thomas Bunyaka, one of our religious leaders, has many pictures of these rock carvings that will one day stand against any deed on this land. These rock carvings tell of a beautiful way of life that our people once enjoyed when we were all in harmony with the Great Spirit. It records the events of things that have happened, and we can trace these rock carvings and prove to the world that our people were here on this land that never came from Asia, but were here and placed here by the Great Spirit. We're living and enjoying a civilization so far advanced from anything that the world has to offer now, that we were living here at least 500,000 years before Christ. Recently, in a documentary by MGM, which premiered on April the 27th, entitled In Search of the Lost World, they presented before the TV audiences of the world some proofs that the Indians even had launching pads for the interspace travel. They had vehicles which were propelled by an unknown force, which was generated as our spaceships traveled interplanetary. We have evidence to prove that we have the best calendar that was ever created by man, and that is all races. We have evidence to prove that we have contributed over 3/4 of all the edible food, fruits, vegetables, and plants of this land. And if the Great Spirit ever took back the many, many gifts of the American Indian to the world, civilization would perish within a matter of hours. We call upon all of you people to listen closely as we discuss our prophecies. But let me tell you that I only gave you a portion of our prophecy, because in order for me to give it to you properly, it would take 4 days, and we do not have this amount of time. So what I tell you is that we believe that there are many things going to happen soon. Many have already happened. It is said that when our nations began to rise, that we would even take the minds of the children of the white serpent. We would see many things happening. We would see our pine trees begin to die from the tops down. We would see them also bend down the tops and face Mother Earth like a cane. To us, we know how to read these signs. To us, this indicates that the spirit of that tree can no longer live in this polluted air, and has bent down and asked Mother Earth to take it back. To us, this means earthquake. And it has happened time and time again wherever this tree has bent down. Our people watch these signs. Right now we're asking our people to leave the cities and to go back to your Indian way of life, because all hope seems to be lost. This country is in trouble. It has lost the spiritual contact with the Creator. Gather your minds together. Do not any longer participate in programs or actions that are aimed to destroy my people. Do not participate any longer in this genocide of my people. Too many of my people have died. There was a time when my people covered this whole land as the waves of a wind-ruffled sea covers its shell-paved floor. But that time has long since passed away, with the greatness of tribes now almost forgotten. I will not dwell upon nor mourn over our untimely decay, nor reproach my pale-faced brothers with hastening it, for we too may have been somewhat to blame. Youth is impulsive. When our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong, and disfigure their faces with black paint, their hearts also become disfigured and turn black. And then they are often cruel and relentless and know no bounds. And our old men are unable to control them. Thus it has ever been. Thus it was when your people first began to push my people westward. But let us hope that the hostilities between the red man and his pale-faced brother may never return, we would have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Your religion was written on tablets of stone by the iron finger of an angry God, lest you might forget it. Our religion are the dreams of our old men, given to them in the silent hours of night by the Great Spirit, and is recorded in the hearts of my people. There are many things that we could tell you about the way in which we believe. But we know that according to our prophecies, the Great Spirit has told us that this land will be returned to our people. And we hope that not too much life, or none perhaps, would be destroyed in this process. But we must all get together and make it right with the Creator before it's too late. We have other speakers that will be talking, telling about the prophecies. Before I conclude my speech, I would like to call next upon Thomas Banyaka, the interpreter of the traditional religious Hopi Indians of Arizona. And we are going down into the Hopi country to talk about unity and also to discuss these prophecies and to attend a sacred snake dance, which is our call, religious call for rain, our Indian way of life. Before I close, I want to tell you people that we never expected that you would receive us as you have. Your food was wonderful. You people have really received us, and this has touched our heart. This to us is an indication that we truly can counsel together with the Great Spirit as our witness, that we can straighten out these things before it is too late. Again, I thank your good mayor, our good friend Zula Brinkerhoff, and all of the women who helped to make this reception and this meeting possible. May the Great Spirit continue to be with us in this meeting and continue to open our ears and our eyes and our hearts and our minds. And let's all hold hands together as brothers and sisters created by one Creator. Thank you very much.